In this video, I'm going to tell you everything that you need to tattoo. Okay, first up, meat and potatoes of the operation, tattoo machine. You got a rotary machine. God damn, why I keep calling it a rotary machine? Why I keep calling it a rotary machine? It's a coil machine. Coil machine. Okay, moving on. Now we have rotary machines. Pen styles, there's other styles, but essentially, these are the two kind of machines we're working with these days. So if you're starting out, I would honestly say, go with a pen. They're comfortable, they're easy to use. But, we're moving on. Next up, power supplies. Very important, but there are options. Okay, first we have a digital power supply. This is going to tell you your exact voltage, many other things, up, down, and you don't need a foot pedal when you use this. So that's an option, something to think about. You don't need a foot pedal. You can click the button here and it'll automatically stay on until you click the button again. It also has a timer in it, so you can time how long that you're tattooing for, which can be nice when people are paying by the hour. So that's option one, good option. Another option here is more like a variable. Okay, there's no readout, there's no digital display. You're listening to the sound of your machine. After a while, you will hear the sound of your machine when it sounds right, and this is how you're going to tune that. These are very nice. They work well. Last option, which is the newest option around, there's a few different kinds you can get of this as well, but these are battery powered, okay? So we have no clip cords, we have no foot pedals, just little cells. These are RCA, keep that in mind. They don't fit all machines. Hold the button down, it comes on, and you can adjust your voltage up and down right there. Click the power button to pause it, and so forth. So, those are power supplies. I can do a separate video about that if you want to see it. Let me know. Moving on, needles. Two different kinds. There's a lot of types of needles out there. These are just two. These are your standard needles. Let's open those up real quick. Right here you can see standard bar needle. Soldered on needles to the end of the bar. Obviously, it goes without saying, make sure these are sealed. If they're not sealed, if they're not new, if they're expired, get rid of them. It says on the back the kind of needle they are. Cartridges. Obviously, these come in a lot of different brands. I'm sure you've seen these before. They're just cartridge needles. In this case, these are 9-round liners. You're gonna need these. I encourage you to try different kinds, see what you like. Let's see, what is next after needles? We have, green soap. There is a lot of green soap here. I encourage you guys to buy it like this if you're gonna be using a lot of it. It will go quite a ways. We'll talk a little bit more about green soap in a little while. Next, paper towels. Now, getting a good paper towel is extremely important. Don't use none of that cheap stuff from the dollar store or anything like that. Buy a good paper towel. And there's other products out there too. If you think you're better than paper towels, that's fine as well. This is Bounty. They come in the smaller pre-cut pieces. I'm going to show you a quick way to roll these out. Set it down, roll it out, break. Set it down, break. Now, obviously, you can do this 7 sheets long, 3 sheets long, whatever. Roll it out, break. For the sake of the video, we'll keep it at that. Now, we just tear them apart and stack them up. Next, the not so glamorous, but still quite important, isopropyl alcohol. Now, before you go and shave the skin, you want to put a little bit of this on a paper towel and clean the skin off. Then shave it. Important there. Your client will thank you. Anyhow, isopropyl alcohol for cleaning the skin. Very important. It's cheap. You can get it anywhere. Don't not have it. Now, you can use a couple different kinds of gloves when tattooing. Just make sure you have a pair of gloves on and not some work gloves. Some sort of latex gloves, nitrite gloves. Just make sure you have gloves. They're not super expensive. There's no excuse not to have them. If you're tattooing, it's a must. So make sure you have them and plenty of them and change them often. Moving on. Another very important thing, a must-have, razors, guys. And you can buy these in bulk, and I encourage you to do so. Open it up, use it, dispose of it. If you need another one, grab another one. They're cheap. There's no excuse. Have razor blades. Next up, guys, we have A&D. There's other things out on the market you can use to replace A&D, but I still like using A&D. I buy it like this in these small packs, so I can tear it off one time, open it up, put it on my tray, one time use. I encourage you to go that route. Again, this is not expensive either. It lasts quite a while. Next, ink caps. There's many kinds to be bought or used. In my case, I use a very small ink cap, medium-sized ink cap, a large ink cap. Depending on the needle you're using, you want to take time to figure out, will my needle grouping even fit into this cap? So if you're using one of these tiny bits, because you're using a lot of liners and what have you, and you jump to a mag, you're not going to be able to get your larger mags into those smaller caps. So that's why it's very important to have different sizes, and some ink you're going to use more than others. So take this serious, make sure you're using the right cap. Don't waste your ink. Alright guys, the next one is very important. It entails wrapping your machine and the supplies you're going to need to wrap it. First up, clip cord sleeves. Now, in the event you're using a pen style tattoo machine, this is great for that because it's not only going to cover your clip cord if you're using one, but it's also going to cover your machine, along with some other stuff that we'll talk about later. And if you want to know how to wrap your machine, there'll be a video somewhere over here. I don't know. Here's a clip cord sleeve. Ta-da! Now, you're going to slide your machine in this side over here, and there's a tiny little hole right here, which comes in handy when wrapping your machine. Again, video somewhere over here. The very important thing is barrier film. The reason why you're going to need barrier film is to keep your machine from coming in contact with bodily fluids, inks, anything of that case. Barrier film is important, in my opinion, and I hope it's important to you. But real quickly, peel a bit off. Yeah. And then you can stretch that, put that on pretty much anything. Next up, sports wraps. Okay, sports wraps. The reason why I call it sport wrap is I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. The material used to wrap your machine, not for sanitary purposes, but more so for grip and comfort. The more you wrap around your machine, the thicker the grip will essentially be for your hand, comfort. But please don't use this to wrap your machine and think that you're being clean, because you're not. Sports wrap, important to have. The next thing you're going to need, very important as well, some way to get the stencil onto the skin. You have speed stick, which works just fine, and you have stencil stuff, which in my opinion works a little bit better. Coffee's almost gone. Next on the list, some sort of bottle. Squirt bottles, spray bottles, because you're going to need something to put your distilled water in. You're going to need something to have your green soap in. You'll need something to put whatever other special ingredient that you have. The most important thing is make sure you wrap all this stuff up in between clients. Okay, next up, distilled water. It doesn't seem important, but it is. Do not use tap water, bottled water, anything like that. Ensure that you're using distilled water. Now that we have water, distilled water, green soap, and some bottles, I'm going to show you real quick how to mix those together. 4 times. Start with water, distilled water. You're going to pour it, for me, this is my mixture. I pour it about 90% of water. And then we'll take a little bit of green soap. I do not like a lot of green soap in my mixture. Oops. Hold the cap, give it a little bit of a shake, and there you go. If you like it to be more potent, more green soap, add a little bit more green soap. In my opinion, there's really no science to this. You just figure out what you like. Next, I like to use saran wrap as a barrier film, as a barrier blocker for various things. The larger type can be nice for spreading it out, setting it onto your tray or your work area. You can also use a dental bib. There's other products out there as well. But in a pinch, some plastic wrap, a little bit down, tape it, you're good to go. Guys, this is a bit of exciting technology right here. Let me show you what I use this for. So, that is one of the uses for plastic wrap. Good to have around. You'll find many uses for it. Next up, stencil paper. Very important to have. You don't need a transfer machine to use this stuff. If you have one, then you know it's a godsend. But if not, and you want to do it by hand, which is, there's times when you need to, it can be used for that as well. You have the different layers here. Blah, blah, blah. We'll go into a video specifically about this later on. Nonetheless, you need to have it. I almost forgot, guys, depending on your setup, you might need a foot pedal. In fact, you probably will need a foot pedal. Get one. Get a foot pedal. Cups for water, rinsing your needles out. Disposable, nice. A place to dispose your needles. Very important, guys. Don't be just throwing these things in the trash. Lighting's very important. If you can't see, then, well, you're in trouble. So, if you're in a bad, non-well lit area, it simply slips on the top of your head, like you're going out coon hunting or something, but you can adjust that light exactly where you want it. If you're in an all-dark room, God forbid you're there, there's no light whatsoever, you can strap this onto your head and see what you're doing. There are many different brands out there, different kinds, obviously like everything else. I encourage you have one. If you can get a rechargeable one, buy 2 of them. You can have one charging while you're using the other. They're quite bright, different settings, they work. Okay, guys, with that being said, I'm pretty sure I missed a few things in there. Nothing too serious. If you noticed something that I missed, put it down in the comments below. Let me know what your preference of stuff is. Nonetheless, but I feel confident that I've shown you guys everything that you will need to do a proper tattoo and have the equipment you need to tattoo. There are plenty more items, but I think this is the important stuff that you want to make sure you have. So if you enjoyed this video and you learned something, smash the like button, subscribe, hit the little bell down there so you know when I post, all that fun jazz stuff. And I'll see you next time, guys. Peace.